This conference will now be recorded.
May I have a volunteer, please?
Yes, Angela. You ready?
Go when you're ready, please.
Reliance meet, we present, Lord, to weld our hearts in one accord, to do thy will, Lord, to make us strong, to aid the weak and right the wrong. Amen.
Thank you. I think that was Lion Camille.
Yes, Angela.
I mean, we're getting so accustomed to hearing the voices online now that it's easy to determine who is speaking. Lion Wendy, our IT expert, do you have any housekeeping matters you would like to bring to the attention of this group at this time?
No, Lion Judy, not at this time. The persons are more or less familiar with the rules now.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank
Well,
you.
Lions, thank you to Lion Wendy. Thanks for all you do. Lions, we have two presenters today. Lion Wendy and Lion Ayo both have been moving up through the ranks in lionism. They were both Leos, and now they are lions, and they are not just lions sitting on the fringe of things that are happening. They are hardworking lions. They both hail from the Lions Club of Mandeville, so I have intimate knowledge as to what they can and cannot do. At this point, I would like to turn the proceedings over to Lion Wendy, who as team leader will walk us through the training. Thanks, Lion Wendy.
Thank you, Lion Judy. Good afternoon, my fellow Lions. Welcome to your incoming officers training session, online training session for regions 1 and 4. Today, I'll be looking at the committee chairpersons. And as I was introduced, I'm Wendy Coley-Haynes, first vice president of the Lions Club of Mandeville. Is everyone seeing the screen?
Yes, Lion Wendy.
Okay. All right, so we'll move right into the presentation. All right, so you have accepted your role as committee chair, and I want to say congratulations in this capacity. Now, you know, it's time to roll up our sleeves and to get the job done. You can give yourselves a pat on the shoulder. You have committed to the task. You have a 12-month journey. So congratulations is in order as you advance in your new role as committee chair. Now, this training session is designed to prepare you for your term as committee chairperson. We want to say congratulations again. And by accepting this position, we know that you're bringing the Melvin Jones dream to life. And that is every need can be met by a lion or a Leo. Lion Marine Graham, Progressive Melvin Jones Fellow, District Governor 2020-2021. Her theme for this year is Building a Better Tomorrow Through Kindness. Now, our esteemed District Governor has outlined her expectations, and her focus word is impact. So throughout the coming year, the ensuing year, we will remember that word, impact. In all we do, how are we impacting our communities? And is it sustainable? I'll invite you now to watch a short video. It is more or less an icebreaker. And I want you to substitute deathbed for your end of administration and for the name Nick and Baby to be your committee name. Are you seeing the video?
Not as yet.
When we're laying on our deathbed, you're not going to worry about how much money you had, how much power you had, how much prestige. You're going to see that that was all game, that that was all an illusion. The only thing that's going to matter is the impact you have on other people's lives.
We are all on a separate journey. But the beautiful thing about our life here on this earth is at my funeral, they ain't going to talk about my success. They're going to talk about who Nick was and how Nick lived and how Nick loved and encouraged.
Success is incredibly important, but even more important than success is having an impact. It's knowing you haven't walked the planet in vain. It's knowing that because you've been here, you've blessed lives, you've developed people, you have made the world a better place.
The effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Everything you gain in life will rot and fall apart, and all that will be left of you is what was in your heart.
Life is a mirror. And life gives us not what we want. Life gives us who we are. When you were born, you cried while the world rejoiced. Live your life in such a way that when you die, the world cries while you rejoice.
All right, thank you, Lance, for your patience in that. I think there were some hiccups, but I hope that you got the gist of that video presentation. Now, the district governor's core committee areas are outlined, and they are cancer awareness, diabetes awareness, environment and climate change, parenting and youth, the LEO program, hunger and homelessness, drug abuse, LCIF, vision, and of course, sustainable community empowerment. Now, we are all familiar with most of these areas as committee chairs, I'm sure. And so it will not be too hard to delve into whichever committee that you are working on. However, I will encourage you to work alongside your district coordinator, ensure that your goals and aspirations are lined up with whatever plans they may have. And we're not going to wait for them to reach out to us. We will be reaching out as the committee chairman as well to ensure that these goals are met. So the importance of preparation. And there's a story which, the ant and the grasshopper. I know many of you may have heard this little fable, but it is very important for preparation. And the story goes that the grasshopper, while the ants are busy getting their food together, he was just playing his music, going along his busy schedule, not caring about anything, just saying, well, there is time to get things done, and we don't have to worry about starting right now. So of course the winter came before long, and before you know it, he was not prepared. Of course, he went to the ants to try to get some food, but they just shunned him, laughed at him, and said, you should have prepared when there was time. So my encouragement to you is that we begin our preparation. We have at least one free month, that is the month of June, which will start on Monday. And we should be at least starting our preparations through our retreats and general meetings to get our goals aligned. So here beginneth our journey. We have 12 months to go ahead. At the heart of every chairperson, there is a fun and easy way to explore your interests and passions. There is renewed creativity, motivation, and vision that can carry over to your personal and professional life. But what are the attributes of the committee chairpersons? Anybody have any idea? Anybody want to come in? What are some of the attributes that you think we should have as the committee chairperson? No thoughts on that? All right, well, I'll just share with you some right after this slide, but I'm gonna ask, what is your commitment? Is it that you can make a difference? You have a passion? Is it your civic duty? Is it just being a part of a team, or your strong beliefs, or just for personal growth? But whatever it is, you must make your commitment and bring to life, the work that is set out before you. So we were talking about the attributes of an effective chairperson. And these are some that came to my mind. I'm sure that you may have some. But integrity is a must. We are dealing with the public. We have the banner of Lionism to uphold. And just for your personal well-being and going about your business, you want to know that no one can question your integrity. So make sure that is at the forefront of everything that you do. Also, you must have the ability to influence others without dominating. There's also your personal strength. You can't just be reliant on someone to push you forward to make things happen. You must have it within you to make sure that the job gets done, the task at hand is going well. You have to have that inner strength to continue. And I also think that emotional intelligence is a big part. You have to be able to read persons, know what they're thinking, know where they're coming from, so that together, collaboratively, you can make a difference in carrying out the assigned tasks. You must also have a clear vision and passion for the work. Intellect and experience is also a very good attribute. It doesn't make sense that you go in thinking that you're just gonna be learning and just going along. You have to have some sort of experience. If you don't, then you have those persons who you can network with and rely on to bring out, to help you along as you carry out your duties. And of course, you have to be decisive. That goes without saying. You must be decisive, you know. Ability to chair a meeting, as simple as that sounds, but you must be able to conduct a meeting so that you will have productive events or planning for an event. You know, you don't want to just go waste time. Now, I find that with the Zoom and the go-to meetings and the Microsoft Teams, persons are being on the stage, so to speak. So you find that they prepare themselves. They want to be able to know that I'm presenting well. So, you know, that ability to chair a meeting, you make sure that you don't go and you are just wondering what to do next and all of that. You must have it organized and able to stick to the task at hand as you go along. And of course, you must have courage. But there are some persons who would be a little timid and, you know, I don't want to say bullies, but you have some persons who they want to enforce their way and their sort of thinking and whatever it is. But if you have the courage, you must stand up to say, hey, this is not our goals. This is not the way we want to go. You know, you must be courageous and don't allow things to get out of hand. Stand firm as long as you know that what you're doing is correct, is right. You stand firm, take courage, and do it in a meaningful way. And of course, you must have some coaching skills. You should be able to help the members of your committee to move along in advancing the whole essence of what you want to get done. So you must be able to coach them along. Those who you see are lagging behind or not up to speed, you help them so that they too can become a part of an effective committee. I'll move to the next slide. So we want to engage ourselves. And as I mentioned before, we cannot wait on the district coordinators to tell us what to do or to show us. We have to reach out. We can't allow them to be the ones to pump us up or wait for them to say something. We can plan our goals and we will be guided by what they have in store. So I'm reminded about the 7 habits of highly effective people by Dr. Stephen Covey, and it speaks to engaging ourselves. So we want to engage ourselves in the year 2020, 2021. And the first one is to be proactive. Take the initiative. Begin with the end in mind. Leading oneself to the end of your goals. That means you must be the driver and you have the end in mind. You know what you want. There will be hiccups along the way. You may be derailed, but the end, that goal that you want to achieve must be constantly in your mind. And of course, you're going to put first things first. Organize and implement your activities. Think win-win. Be cooperative with others. You know, make sure that everybody gets along and can work well together. Cooperate. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. And my take on that is diagnose before you prescribe. Synergize. See the good potential in other contributions. Not because you're the chairman, the chairperson, you are going to say that everybody else's ideas doesn't make sense. No, you have to see good potential in other contribution. Desiderata says, you know, listen to the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. So we must ensure that we have everybody's contribution on the table and see the good potential in any. And of course, you're going to sharpen the saw, ensure spiritual, mental, physical, and social and emotional well-being are developed. we don't want to burn out at the end of the term, right? So we have to ensure that we stay close to, you know, our spiritual selves. So for the year forward, how are we gonna go about it? We're gonna learn, and and that means gain or acquire knowledge of a skill in something by study, experience, or being taught. Discover. Now we're gonna research, find unexpectedly, and recognize the potential of a number of things which you can do. You're gonna plan, which is to make a detailed proposal of what you want to achieve and decide on and make arrangements for it in advance. Now you have to plan, right? In everything you do, there must be a plan. And of course, that means to fulfill the function or serve the purpose of the plan. You're gonna act. That was act, I'm sorry. So report is to give a spoken or written account of your projects and make sure they are newsworthy. You know, I was listening to another session with Dave Scarlett, and he really went all out and making sure that we understand that, you know, when we do our reports, you know, they are of a newsworthy caliber, so to speak, so that, you know, when we follow up and we go to the newspaper or whatever media house, someone can look on and say, hey. So we must make sure that we follow up with our district coordinator, that they have a copy, and we must upload to MyLand. I learned today too from Lance Steve that we don't have to wait on the secretaries to do all the work for us. We can go ahead, and all they would need to do is to complete at the end of that. And of course, we're gonna celebrate, because it's a lot of hard work and sacrifice. So at the end of the administration, we celebrate your achievements. Remember, you should be rejoicing at the end, while others may be sad to see you go because of that impact which you have made. Are there any questions? Please feel free to stop me if there are any questions. All right, so I will look at a few of the committees, that is the core committees that our district governor has outlined. Because of time constraint, what I have done is to just across the board put bits and pieces on, but all committees, you know, can work based on the guidelines set out. So the Club Services Committee's goal is to implement impactful service and fundraising projects, increasing service project engagement of members, and elevating awareness of LAN's collective impact in fulfilling global humanitarian needs. And so we begin with health and wellness and diabetes awareness. The objective, I'm sorry, I've gone ahead. The objective is to formulate projects to reduce the prevalence of diabetes and improve the quality of life for those diagnosed. Right? Requirements: learn by becoming the topic experts. And by this, I don't mean that you're gonna become a doctor, but learn about diabetes, engage professionals who will bring awareness to the group. And of course, you're gonna be planning your screening clinics, etc., for persons who fall in this group or who are on the outskirts or the periphery. And, you know, because we are going paperless, everything is Zoom and go to meetings, we will have it a little bit easier to formulate our meeting times, and, you know, persons are much more quick to attend a Zoom meeting because they say, hey, it's just a few minutes, I don't have to leave to drive out. So we try our best to make these meetings concise, involve everybody on your committee and the club as a whole. We don't want to leave anybody out. We also know that, you know, there are persons who will be doing the projects every day and there are some who will not, but we will just try to encourage everyone to be a part. You will also want to become familiar with the various types of diabetes. For example, type 1 and type 2, learn more about obesity and its effects. And of course, my LCI, and other lands and leaders in the district who have done projects which can serve as a guide in ideas for projects. Just fine tune to suit your needs. And don't forget to brainstorm during your meetings to come up with innovative ways to assist your community needs. Always do a feasibility study or assessment for the needs of your own community. Formulate best practices from your own club and learn from your mistakes. And of course, make use of the day or week relevant to World Diabetes Service Day, and in this case, which is held on November 14 each year. Now we will look briefly at the club marketing and communication chairperson. Their job description is to work closely with your president, who is your global action team chairperson in the club. Develop the club's communications plan to publicize the club's activities prior to implementation to both members and non-members. This is very important. We don't want to have an event and nobody turns up or it is not noted anywhere. And most importantly, prepare a budget. We don't want to have any event and we can't afford to do it. Communicate the plans to the club board of directors. Of course, everything needs to go through the directors. Use effective communication and media channels. Publicize the club's newsworthy accomplishments. We cannot overemphasize that. Of course, you're going to assist the president to prepare and distribute monthly or quarterly newsletters. Technology as we know it is now far advanced. So we're going to make use of the social media platforms to heighten awareness and to have communication at each member's fingertips. Now we look briefly at the duties and roles of the vision or site awareness. I hope we have these chairpersons here and you are benefiting from this. Become the topic expert for your district or multiple district by learning about eye health and common causes of preventable blindness. Encourage service to align with the site month and formalize partnership with other organizations to enhance local impact, for example, with your CVCT. Establish and maintain open communication with the district governor, the council chairperson, global service team leaders. Make sure that there's an open communication with them because, you know, vision and sight was the hallmark, benchmark of Lions clubs. That's how we started. Promote funding opportunities offered through LCI and LCIF that might support club or district vision projects. Remember, no one knows your community like you do. So you have to go out there and find where the needs are and try to alleviate that need. We want to look at environment and climate change. And the environment chairperson engaged the clubs in projects and activities which meets the environmental challenges at the local level. be aware of issues affecting our environment up to 10 years from now. Because remember, our district governor is talking about sustainable. So we want to give it a little time frame that we can look at and work towards implementing ways to mitigate preventable disasters. For example, we can plant trees and do beach cleanup and the general beautification of areas in your community. Now, at another session, like June McCarthy mentioned that it doesn't make sense you think of beach cleanup in areas like Manchester. We have no beach, but there are other things that you can do. And if this is coming from the district, you know your community, so you will work on what you have. All right, ensure that you communicate with your local government and consider areas in which opportunities exist for your clubs to collaborate. Be mindful that these opportunities must be connected to global environmental channel, why am I getting mixed up with that word? And solutions. Make sure a special project is aligned with the Worldwide Week of Service for World Environment Day, which is June 5th annually. And that is next week or the week after. So as incoming committee chairs, guess what? You have one whole year to plan. Make use again of LCIF for funding opportunities to support your projects. Donations of trees and plants to give public institutions a facelift is quite welcoming in some areas. Forest conservation workshops for schools on preserving the environment, I'm sure would also be welcome. Of course, there are some clubs who will donate paint or doing the paint job to basic schools, primary schools, and even a pedestrian crossing. And these are some ways in which we can care for our environment. Youth education and parenting, Nan Steve. I'm not sure if you're on, but if you are, I know you are the district coordinator here, and I'm sure you will have tons of ideas for the incoming chair. But we want to think about improving access to quality education and positive youth development for young people. You could sponsor their academic fees, assist with vital health services, for example, eye screening and dental care, assist with school supplies and educational grants. Back to school packages are always a welcome gesture. Adopting a school or assisting with their needs, which is not readily accessible, is also very good in some areas. Identify and collaborate with programs for youth, which brings awareness to cyberbullying and drug abuse. You see, we're bringing out all those little areas that our district governor wants. Offer to treat schools for Christmas or Child's Month or whenever your club can or identifies a time that they can. If your club has a Leo club, work closely with the Leo advisor to enhance their experience and create a mentorship program at schools, PTA, or churches to facilitate parenting tips. Of course, you must also work closely with your zone and region chairs and district coordinators to ensure that your reports are, going where they're supposed to go. And the last one I think I look at is hunger and homelessness. Many people go to bed hungry at night and are even without a proper shelter. The task of this committee is first and foremost to accept the bold goal of reducing hunger and homelessness while addressing the root cause, poverty due to lack of employment. The committee will have to work with their community partners to increase access to food and shelter. for the systems that work, like the soup kitchens, the Meals on Wheels, Food for the Poor, and whatever other labels that they may have, you know, using these organizations or collaborating with them will bring more effective ways to alleviate hunger. All right, I will just briefly look at hosting an event. So if we are thinking about hosting an event as committee chairs, you want to highlight some best practices. Of course, you will decide who will be involved, decide on the resources, work out a timetable, work out your budget, obtain permission, brainstorm possible venues, decide on possible dates, publicize internally, and get the help needed. If needed, research, right? Research, find possible persons who can help and talk to them. Pursue funding. Can't overemphasize again. If your club is not able to do, team up with another club and see if we can do a joint thing, or make sure you go to LCIF. They're there for that reason. Make final decisions, date, time, budget, final ideas and theme. Calculate final cost. Confirm with organizations. Most importantly, enjoy your event. You worked hard. And of course, you thank the persons who have sponsored or assisted. And I might put in a little plug for the Lions Club of Mandeville. When we do Men Who Cook, we usually start our planning from August. So we begin our meetings and we start right throughout the year so that when the event is finally here, we are ready and raring to go. Now, some tools that as the committee chairperson, you must have. You must have an agenda plan of action. You must have clear goals. You must have a budget. Knowledge of your club key network. Knowledge of Zoom, Microsoft Teams, GoToMeetings, etc. Because with this COVID pandemic, we don't know when we're gonna come out of it. So we need to at least familiarize ourselves with these platforms so that we can be able to continue our work. You must be able to delegate, be a good strategist, consider succession plan, have an ability to respect confidences. You know, there are times when persons really don't share something and we spread it and cause harm or hurt to the person, but we must respect confidences. And if we're dealing with the public and we know that we have to have sponsors and this kind of a thing, we need to ensure that we respect confidences. Ensure decisions are taken and recorded. And I don't have it here, but make sure that you report to your board of directors in a timely manner. Things to avoid: being the person who talks most at the meetings. As committee chair, you're chairing the meeting, but ask for contributions, you know, make sure that persons are participating, have something to say. You're not the only one who is talking in this meeting, like I'm doing here, you know. Cut people out of discussions. Don't do that. We mentioned that earlier. We said, try to hear everybody's story and find the good in whatever they may have to say. And do not allow the meetings to become unproductive. And there's a no-no. Do not lose your temper. Or allow 2 or more persons to dominate the meeting. And most importantly, do not stay too long. Persons have things to do and time is important. And one good thing to have is that thumb drive and or Google Flash Drive or that kind of a thing, because we're going into the paperless kind of a thing. When we do our handover, a lot of persons don't want the junk in their houses. So if we have a thumb drive or the flash drive, as you may call it, we're able to pass on information to persons without a whole stack of papers if we don't have a secretariat. Are there any questions? All right, so we're coming down to the end, and I just want to give the overview of the committee chairperson and what is expected of you. So the role of the chairperson is to ensure that the committee is functioning effectively. The responsibilities shall include chair the meetings, establish the agenda for the committee meetings, ensure that the club's decisions have been implemented, ensure that the business of the committee is well organized and that the subcommittees discharges its duties smoothly and efficiently. Ensure that all members are fully involved and informed of any business issues on which a decision has to be taken. And you are, of course, the spokesperson for the committee. Ensure that the committee regularly evaluates its work. And the global leadership team is doing a great job. They have the evaluation forms, so that, remember, you need to fill that out at the end. But evaluate your work on a regular basis so that you know where you are, you know where to tighten up, and you know where to make sure that the event or whatever you're planning goes well. You must also work closely with the president to ensure at all times the committee is fully equipped to perform its duties. Are there any questions? Are there any additions? No? Okay, well, just by way of encouragement, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. And that is a quote from the tennis player Arthur Ashe. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. So you have been a gracious audience. Are there any burning questions I would be able to answer? Or on screen, we will have them emailed and the global leadership team will take, and we can communicate. Thank you for your patience, and make sure you make an impact in their new year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lion Wendy. We are down to maybe the last 10 minutes of our class. And so I'm going to ask Lion Ayo to move right into her presentation. Thank you.
And Wendy, just close off your screen, please.
And Wendy? No, that's Wendy, district officer.
Yes, Land Judy.
Oh, yes, are we having issues with the presentation from Lion IO?
No, I just want to ensure because Wendy's presentation is still there. I just want to have it closed off.
Okay, all right, good.
All right, thank you.
Line Wendy,
Yes, Land Judy.
it
You're getting
appears
the
that we
feedback
have
from
to
Lion
abort.
IO?
I don't know what is happening. She seems to be having some technical issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we might have to abort this presentation and do it at another time.
Okay.
What Alicia? Me tell me.
Are you hearing me, Line Wendy?
Yes, I heard you, Land Judy.
All
Because
right.
Lion IO seemed to be having some issues on her
She's
with her
having
internet.
some issues, yes, from her end. Lions, I'm so sorry about this. Lion Ayo lives in an area that sometimes in bad weather, she has difficulty with internet access. And we are heavily overcast today. So I think that is the issue. I'm really sorry. We will have to reschedule this part of the presentation for another time. As soon as we're able to sort that out, we will let you know. May I ask Lion Shireen Powell to move the vote of thanks for this section of the training? Thank you. Lion Shireen? I know Lion Shireen was present, but it looks like she has left us. Would anybody else like to thank Lion Wendy on behalf of this group?
And Judy?
Yes, Lion Dave.
All right, let me try.
I know you will.
Lance,
Thank you.
all right, Lance, and I'm not sure if any layers were logged on for this session, but I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of the planning team, as well as those of us that were listening in, to thank Lan Wendy for her wealth of experience that she shared. One of the things that I thought jumped out at me was the ability that she had to include some quotations that were relevant to what it is that she was expressing. So for those of us that are triggered by matters like of that nature, I know we'd appreciate those, and those things would help us when we hear those quotes again to align ourselves based on the things that she has taught. I thought she did an excellent job in sharing with us, and she made every effort to ensure that we were comfortable and understood. And she made every effort as well to ask as she went along the way if there was anything that needed clarity or anything of that nature. So, on behalf of the team, Lan Wendy, I'd just like to thank you so much for your support today. And additionally, today we have the Wendy Clash. Maybe it's because it's a Saturday. So, we also need to thank Wendy from Grenada as well for her support all of this week with the business of IT. Thank you both so much.
You're welcome, Landy.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Lance.
Lance, just a couple quick reminders. Remember that the evaluation forms, the link for the evaluation forms is in the chat section of this presentation. Lion Steve has promised too that he will send it out in all the ways that he would normally keep us advised of happenings. Remember also that this session was taped and will be presented in its entirety, well, with a little bit of fixing if necessary, and will be placed on the website. Our next training session is tomorrow, and it is primarily for presidents and vice presidents. And also we have the Tamer Twister session that comes before that. I think the first session is at 1. I just got a message from Lion Shareem, who had called on to move the vote of thanks. She apologizes because her audio was not working. Just when you need these technological assistance, they don't work. So Lance, thanks again, and I am sure I will see all of you at the Multiple District Convention, which starts in a few seconds. All the best. See you soon, and thank you.
Thank you, Tulane.